we'll be talking about the gift of giving and how in giving we experience the eternal joy. All right. Yeah, sounds good, right? Okay. So first we can do a little bit of ice breaking. I think with the temperature in the room, we've got enough ice melting, so we'll try to do some breaking on top of that. Speaking of which, how's the temperature doing for everyone? Yeah? Maybe we can open a window, or everyone's good? Good. Okay, all right, checking. Also, one thing that we did not mention is that we have a bathroom in the middle. If you go through the middle door and cross the way to the right, you will find a bathroom there. We also have water in the back, and usually our hosts will mention that our phones usually make sounds, so if we could make them into a silent mode, that would be greatly appreciated. Nitai, could you also bring me a cup of water, if possible? A cup of water. Oh. Right there. No, that one. Can I have that one? Thank you. Okay. So I'm like switching from manager mode into host mode. It's like two different hats. Okay, so Nitai already did this a little bit. We did a little bit of the name, so we'll go quickly. I will start on this side with a name, where you're from, and what did I write there? How do you feel when you give? Please tell us.
Hi, my name is Damodar.
Hi, Damodar.
I'm from New York, upstate New York. I feel very full when I give. That's it.
I'm sorry to bother you. Are you with the Bhakti Center? Is that your own personal recording?
I'm with the Bhakti.
Oh,
Yes.
That's why I didn't.
He's a Bhakti Center official representative, everyone.
Oh.
This is going live. Okay, thank you, Damodar. Yes?
My name is Tina. I'm originally from China. I would say I feel fulfilled and also sometimes empowered, especially when you kind of donate or give to nonprofits or like that.
What's the very last part?
Like I'm referring to specific examples where maybe I'll donate to like local animal shelter or like a homeless shelter, something like that.
Nice.
I feel fulfilled.
Fulfilled.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, this is good. We feel whole, we feel fulfilled. Very nice. Thank you very much, Tina. Next. Yes.
My name is Joydeep. I'm originally from South Jersey, close to Philadelphia.
Okay.
And when I give, I hope that I solve the problem.
Very nice. You hope to solve the problem. Very nice. Okay. I hope we can speak more on that. That's very good. Thank you. In the back?
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm based in this village. And sometimes when I give, I tend to overgive.
Very good.
Very, like, so it can go sometimes on giving myself as well.
Big. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm totally messing up this microphone. New thing. Yes, that's super awesome. Yes, we'll talk about that as well. How when we give, and sometimes we give to such a point that we're depleted. I mentioned this early. It's like we can't give from an empty cup. So actually, sometimes taking that time to fill ourselves up is part of the cycle in giving to others. So that's a nice principle. I'm still practicing that myself, but hey, we're all on the journey. So thank you for that. Yourself?
Destiny. So I'm originally from China. I've been here for 5 years, I think. How do I feel when I give? I don't give too much, I think, recently, especially in New York, because it's fast-paced space. I just feel like when I'm in other places, such as like down to the south, like Virginia, I do have a little more time to think about giving out. But here, I don't think I think of that as much as I used to do.
Okay. Yeah. So you're feeling because of the environment, it affects your ability and capacity to give. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Destiny.
My name is Gokul. I grew up in Chennai, South India. I've been here for almost 15 years. How do you feel when you give? And it depends on who I'm giving. Like if it's an unknown person, maybe I'll feel a sense of fulfillment.
Okay. Yeah.
And how much I'm giving.
Okay, very good. Yes. heard the expression "give till it hurts." Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And who we're giving, the amount of intimacy. Sometimes giving to a stranger is very much different than if we give a gift to our wife or someone like this, right? So someone who has that different level of intimacy, there's a different kind of experience in being the giver and also the receiver. Yeah, that's nice. Langdon?
I'm Langdon. I'm originally from Florida. I apologize.
I apologize.
Happily living in New York. Echoing many of the others, Emily in the past, super codependent, but I'm here to say you can work on it. Generally relative, who I'm giving, what I'm giving, the scenario. Lately I've been trying to think and feel. Generally, I'm kind of a warm and fuzzy person. It feels warm and fuzzy, yay. But I try to use it as at least a reminder to me of some certain lessons, that I can give because I've been blessed, or when I'm giving, that I'm giving a blessing with it, even if it's just a cookie or a whatever, that I'm trying to do it with love, I think is what I'm trying to do.
Big, yes. Bhagavad Gita speaks about how there can be different octaves in which we give something. Maybe a lower octave is like we give it with expectation of return. It's like, okay, I give this now, but like they'll give me something in return later. So I'll be the one who benefits. I'm actually giving it with a motivation. It's for you, but it's really for me. Right. Okay, yeah, thank you. I hope we can touch on some of those points more later on. And we'll have a Q&A section so we can bring up any questions that come up or any things that we don't touch over the topic. Push.
Hi everybody, I'm Puspa and I'm from Bhutan. So giving is something that is very natural and a very common thing in Bhutan. So it made me question giving, especially here in New York. I try to give things to people and they've been looking at me differently. They think I am doing it with agenda or something. So, but I do feel happy when I give. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. It was interesting. I was just visiting a friend in North Carolina, and they were telling me how like the mood is so much different than like in the city. Like in the city, they have develop this feeling of feeling like they have to like protect themselves or get what's theirs and really fight each other. But out in North Carolina, everything is so open and free. They're just like, yeah, you need this, no problem. Oh, you need this, no problem. A crazy storm comes by and everybody's there just helping each other. Very beautiful situation. So environment does have a big difference. As a Bhakti Center representative, I cannot condone that, but yes.
Hi. I don't know what name to give you today. You can call me Mei Su.
Mei Su.
Yeah, that's
Mei
the
Su.
Mandarin version of my government name.
Are you a professional singer, by the way?
How did you know? Yeah, I have my resume is pretty okay. I've performed with a few good people. Yeah.
Nice. I
Great,
appreciate it.
Very talented professionals. Yes, I have.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. That's why I was like, South. Did you come from, did you come from there today, or you just grew up there?
I grew up there.
Right, because that would be crazy. I mean, I still live in New Jersey, so I still live in New Jersey, and that I was an hour. I was like an hour. No, technically I was 15 minutes late, but to me that was an hour late because I need to prepare. And I was originally coming for the 6-hour kirtan. I didn't know about this event. I did not see anything.
I won't take personal offense. That's okay. Still glad you're here.
So, I just personally, because of what I'm going through, I really needed the full 6 hours, but kind of got botched because I was already late. So I thought I'd try this, and we'll see if I make it to the end of this. I don't know if I have time to do the 6-hour kirtan after dinner, or because they're there till 10, right?
Yes.
So do you know what time this ends? This event?
Yes. We will conclude here about 7.
Oh, okay. So yeah, and I'll go for the end, because it says 4 to 10, I think, on the thing. How do I feel when I give?
Yes.
How do I feel when I give? I feel definitely like happy, content. I know my life's purpose is to give to others. I mean, it is my personal belief that everybody has a mission, like a mission in this life, a mission to God. That's what lots of people believe. I know I'm not the only one. So personally, my mission is obviously giving others in terms of like giving the voice to the others that do not have. So I'm an activist. I speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. That's why I know it is my life purpose. It is my mission. That's why God gave me my voice. God gave me my vocal chamber. And that has affected my career. That's why, you haven't really seen me on any billboards yet. But because of my stance, because I am a pro-Palestinian, I'm more kafia, however you say it. So
Thank you for
Palestine.
sharing.
I go everywhere. Part of my mission is I do go to multiple places, multiple spiritual places. So I was to the mosque yesterday.
Gotcha, yeah.
I've also been to the Buddhist temple. I was possessed. So I didn't even mean to go there. I went to one thing. I went to Sarah D. Roosevelt Park for the Lunar New Year, and I got possessed to go into to the Guangming temple. That's it.
And I'll stop you there.
All right.
Thank you for sharing. Let's continue on. Yeah, sorry, I looked at both of you at the same time. Yeah.
From Brunei, from LA. I think I actually echo the woman from Bhutan. I feel pretty natural when I give, but echoing everybody else here, it's harder to do that in an increasingly unnatural world.
Very good.
A place where it's encouraging you not to give, keep to yourself and be selfish.
Yes, thank you for that. When so much of the tide is moving one way, it's hard to move against that tide. Just part of the reason why the center is here, a little side note, to help us move in the direction that is most natural to the self. Acting in love, acting in compassion, acting in tolerance, acting with gratitude. So all those qualities, like you mentioned, we can move in that direction together. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Hi everyone, my name is Neha. I'm originally from Sacramento, California.
No kidding.
Are you also?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, pretty cool.
That's the first time.
How do I feel when I give? So I think depending on the situation, a sense of purpose, fulfillment. I'm trying to break that, give for the sense of like getting something back. Not that I do that, but I do believe in like karma. And so it's kind of like, should I put out good, hope some good comes back to me. To try to be more selfless and kind of just give when I can, because I feel like pretty privileged. But it is harder in New York. I'm trying to, it's hard to spot truly like who is, who has good intentions and I want to help. So it's a little hard, but try.
Nice. So I'm seeing this theme now that in general, what goes around comes around, but when it comes to New York, a different situation. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
So I'm Rosadilla. I come from Sicily. I come from a family where little is given, very little. So I've given very little myself. Up until I arrived here, where actually it's a bit the contrary. I've given more here than I've given where I come from.
Very nice. I very much appreciate this point, and I've seen it in my life across the path of bhakti or eternal love. And sometimes, especially when we haven't had that influence growing up, it can be harder to offer ourselves in various ways, especially in affection. In affectionate ways, it's harder for us to open up or to be trusting. But when we receive that from someone, and we know what it's like to accept and receive that affection, then naturally it becomes almost second nature to offer it back to others, because we have been on the receiving end of it. And therefore we are filled with that affection. And then sometimes when we're overflowing with it, whether we like it or not, that's what we have to give to others. Because what we fill ourselves up with is ultimately what comes out from us. Yeah. Thank you for that point. Yeah. You go back there.
I'm Alex. I've lived in East Village for a while, but I'm from Cleveland. I think it's a unique feeling to give because just the economics of energy, you can't really give more than you take. So it's less common to give than it is to take. I feel optimistic that the energy that I have to give is going to be appreciated wherever it ends up.
Very nice. Okay, I like this. Very practical, very logical. And when we get to, we have 4 slides, and on the 4th slide, it's about transcendence, and I'm going to transcend that logic. We'll get there. Yeah. Shallow?
Go for it. Hi, my name's Karen. I grew up in Queens, and when I give, like what initially came off was like I try to give people my time. And I do that a lot with my family because they need a lot of my time. And I don't feel codependent with that anymore. I used to, but I got boundaries with it. But with people in the, like where I work or I meet, I try even just to extend the eye contact, just to let them know I'm there. And if they feel weird about it, they feel weird about it. But like I said before, that's my authentic self. So that's just how I feel. So I feel connected when I
Yes, it's very, very valuable. It said that no matter how much money that we have, you can't buy back even a single second. That single second is so valuable. So when we're offering someone our time, that can be one of the greatest offerings of affection, greatest way of showing that we care. Yeah, it can be something, the greatest thing that we can give to someone is our time and our presence. Yeah. There's one musician I actually liked, and he was singing about how his fame and stardom brought him a lot of wealth, and then even like family members were like asking for this wealth, and he's like, I'm not going to give you any of that, but I'll give something even more valuable, my time, my presence with you. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's one of the greatest things to give.
Hi everyone, my name is Shalu. I'm from Cupertino, California.
Nice.
And then how do I feel when I give? So I feel good for the most part if my intention is good. I think, if I feel like I'm giving it out of love and out of energy, then I feel good. But if I give because I'm expecting something in return, I feel more anxious. Then I feel good because I'm waiting for when I'll receive it back.
Yes. Since we have it twice now, elaborate. In Bhagavad Gita, it says there are 3 modes of material nature. Kind of a lower vibration, middle vibration, higher vibration. Lower vibration is you give the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time. Right? I guess I'm trying to think this on the fly. It's like, okay, someone is about to like fall off a cliff, and it's like, okay, I'm going to give you a towel. Here you go. You're like, this isn't going to be very helpful for me. Thank you. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, parachuting. See? Yeah, transcendental mind right there. Thank you. Mode of passion or rajas. Middle vibration is giving something with expecting in return, right? So you might see a company, they give some great donation, but because they'll get a tax write-off. Right? So it's like kind of in the middle. It's like, okay, there's mutual benefits, not so bad, but it is motivated. And then mode of goodness, sattva, or higher vibration, is I'm doing it simply out of duty. Right? Doing it because I should. Doing it out of a sense of reciprocity. So much has been given to me, so much has been allotted to me, let me reciprocate something in return. Then we'll get to transcendence. We'll get to that later. Yeah. Thank you. So we are taking a good amount of time doing this process. There's so many of us today, so we'll go with Lily and we'll kind of jump along.
Yes, I'm Lily from Chicago.
Lily from
How
Chicago.
I feel when I give depends on whether it's of my own volition. If it is, then I feel so connected and so unified and so full of love for our human brethren. But on the other hand, if it's not of my own volition, then I feel mad. Like it's out of obligation. Like I don't want to do this.
So like when you're being robbed, you're just like, you know what? I don't feel a lot of love coming from me right now. Okay, I get that. Yeah. Do you have siblings? I imagine there being a sibling thing in this.
I do.
Yeah.
And things like doing the dishes and stuff. I can try and be nice and like, but I really don't want to.
Mom's there too. You can confirm this is the thing.
I take the fifth.
I take the fifth. Very nice. Thank you.
I'm Teresa. I'm Lily's mom. I too am from Chicago, and Lily loves coming here. So I was visiting New York, so I'm honored to be here with everybody.
I think it's easy for me to give. I grew up with 7 siblings, and I grew up in a Catholic family, so community was really built in to my upbringing. And then I think as a parent, I think it's pretty easy to be selfless about giving. So I think like someone said over there, I think I have to be careful about my cup. I think my cup gets really drained, and I've been hovering like around here for a while.
I can relate to that. Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry, that kind of came out. So whoops. Yeah, and I really appreciate that note on being a parent where you're engaged so much in that practice of giving. One of the points we'll get to later is that we're kind of so habituated by sometimes circumstance or environment to be in a mood of not giving. But when we practice that activity of giving, it becomes second nature, and they very much have to practice that as a parent, I imagine. Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that point. All right, we'll come to the front here.
Hi everyone, my name is Tatsat.
Tatsat.
I was originally from India, but I've been living in New York for around 5 years. How do I feel when I give? Lately I've caught myself doing that, like I've been wanting to give, but I haven't been giving. So this is sort of a theme that I picked for me this year. But as you mentioned, giving the gift of time. So I try to be there for the people who are close to me. So at least whenever I give them my time, I feel connected and satisfied a little bit.
Very nice, very nice. I appreciate that a lot. And I will go ahead and thank you and thank everyone for giving me and giving the space the gift of your time. I'll try my best to honor it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tara. I'm from Ireland. I think when I give, it makes me feel connected to people, which is, I think, always a good thing.
Nice, yes. That connectivity is sometimes one of those commodities that we feel so bereft of. I think we probably have all experienced that to some degree during the whole pandemic series where everybody felt so isolated and closed. And so this act of giving lets us feel connected within and without. That's why charity workers are actually said to be one of the most satisfied fields of work, because they feel like they're giving back to the community from which they come. So thank you for that. Yeah. And I guess we'll start on this side.
Hi everyone, I'm Aditya, originally from India. How do I feel about giving? I feel like every day I receive a lot. Sun, water, food, and I feel like so whatever I have, I feel like it's an obligation or it's like a moral duty to share with others. But I often end up burning my hands in the right place situation. So I would like to learn from you, how do you balance that?
Oh, it took me some experiences. So yeah, that's a very good point. And I hope we touch on it more. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, very much goodness. Okay, Shelby?
My name is Shelby. I'm from Connecticut. I would say I feel purposeful when I give, but definitely wish I had the means to give more.
Nice. Okay, I like that. Satisfied where we are with a vision of growth. Nice. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carla. I'm from Dublin, Ireland, and I feel really happy and full when I give.
Nice. Right on. And?
Ashish, originally from India, been here for 17 years. How I feel when I give is depends on the situation and who I'm giving to. Depending on, sometimes it's an obligation, like you don't really have a choice. Sometimes you wanna be there for someone and you feel glad that you were helpful, like you were part of the equation. So that's when you feel good, when you're able to actually add value. So it depends on the situation.
Very good. So the difference between having to give when your taxes are due versus when someone's sick and you give yourself willingly. Very nice. Yeah. It's interesting, I'll note this now, how we feel much more differently to the degree that affection or love is present. It said that's for there to be love, there has to be free will, which means you have to choose to give. So if we're being robbed or someone's taking it or we're obliged beyond our control, then we don't really feel as nice about it. But when there's someone that we love or someone that we're wanting to show up for or some way that we're wanting to, out of a sense of duty, reciprocate, that stimulates this feeling of balance, peace, wholeness, love, affection, all of these nice emotions and feelings, experiences come up from that. Yeah, thank you for that.
My name is Olga, and I just got off the plane from San Francisco.
Wow, right on. Brand new New Yorker.
I love the topic. So I think this is, like, for me, it's a joy, and it's really, I'm not, I think, in the right mind to think about all the situations, but like it's the only thing that comes to my mind. It's a very joyful experience. Like for myself, I feel like I'm sometimes more happy about that than the person to whom I'm giving. So.
Boom, right there.
That's kind of like selfish, but it feels good. So I cannot really feel about
All right, we just finished the class right there. The gift of giving, eternal joy, finished. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, yes. Yes, we feel very natural in giving. It actually is the source of our greatest joy. We'll expand on that point more. And
Is it because I just came?
Pushpa called you out. Yeah.
I thought we were going in order. Everybody already went?
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't see me. No, I was kidding. My name is Katura. I'm from Illinois. Is anyone Midwest? Ooh, Illinois? Chicago. Missouri, babe. Oh, Missouri, okay. Happy idea. Pleasure, I could say. Pleasure, satisfied. Yeah.
Very nice. I have never seen an advertisement. Maybe anyone else has never seen advertisement. Want to feel joy? Want to feel pleasure? Give something. No, I've never seen an advertisement like that. No. Maybe we should make one, yeah? Give something, pass it on. All right, and yourself?
My name is Maddie, or Madison. This is actually my 27th move, so I'm not really from anywhere, but I just recently moved from Denver.
27th. Whoa.
My whole life, even when I was a kid, moving. How do I feel when I give? Definitely feel like giving is an opportunity for connection.
Wig,
Sometimes,
yes.
trying to make sure it's not from a place of seeking connection, giving without the expectation that there will be this true ideal exchange. So giving from that place, I think, is the goal, not attachment.
Right on. It's as if you're like reading out of the textbook. Thank you for that. Very, very good. Oh, so much I want to speak on, but I will continue. I'll touch on that later though, hopefully. Juana?
Hi everyone, I'm Juana. I'm from Colombia. How do I feel when I give? I think for me, it all goes back to intention. What is the intention behind giving? One thing that comes to mind is I give a lot of smiles in New York City. I love smiling at people, and surprisingly, I get a lot of smiles back.
Nice.
Lots of smiles. So
That's
just
good.
encouraging people to smile because it really feels good. And I was also thinking, I've learned that receiving is also a way of giving because I was not good at that. I was not good at receiving love or affection or care. And by learning how to do that, I have learned that I'm also giving.
Juana, we made this beautiful birthday cake just for you. Please accept it. No. Oh. Yes. So now that you both mention it, I will go into a little bit more. Sadvidi Priti Lakshanam. It said that there are 6 forms of loving exchanges between two people. 1, offering a gift. 2, receiving a gift. 3, offering food. 4, receiving food. 5, revealing one's mind in confidence. Okay, so what does confidence mean? It means that tomorrow morning you will not find a Facebook post deeply expressing all of the deep details that you just shared with me the day before. Yes. So it means it stays a secret. And 6, receiving someone's mind and confidence. That day when someone's like really struggling, you go like, hey, what's going on? You know, and then they tell you all the things. That is a loving exchange. And sometimes we're giving and sometimes we're receiving, and sometimes even our receiving is an act of giving. Right? Because someone has gone through this, you know, endeavor to make that cake, and so I might not really like the cake that you made for me, but okay, like for the sake of receiving the affection that you intended through offering it to me, we tried to receive it best we can. Now, if you're allergic, that's a different thing. You got to say, I accept it in my heart, but I cannot eat it. So, like this. And last but not least, certainly not least.
My name is Mohide.
Mohide.
I'm from South Africa. I'm called Shandube. How do I feel when I give? So the schools that I went to, like I was always getting like new music, right? Coming to the neighborhood, I'd always share my music. At first, it was like a way to be like, okay, if I lose it, like before you could put stuff on like Google Drive or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna share this music so that when I lose my music, I can get it from everyone who I've shared. and it worked like that, and it had a sense of community. Someone reminding you, like, you remember that Nas album? You're like, no. And then it's like, hey, you gave it to me. It's like, oh, yeah. And then we listen to the music again. And in Zulu, there's a proverb that says, "Umlomo odayo utuga omunye," which means the mouth that is eating is swearing at the one that it's not. That's not eating. It's like an idiom proverb. It's like, so every time you eat, automatically you swear at all. You're cussing at the words, at the mouths that are not eating. So it's like you must. It's like you can't have it alone. You must share it so that.
I see,
and everyone
I see,
can take offense like that. Like if they see you eat, that's how you feel. so yeah, you must share. So it makes me feel like fantastic, man. It's like she said, a chance to connect. Giving gives a chance to like connect.
Boom. And that's yoga, connection. Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you. And it turns out, now last but not least.
Hi, I'm Deepak.
Deepak.
Originally, I'm from India as well. I mean, giving brings the utmost satisfaction, I feel. Many times, not in that moment, but later I realized, yeah, that was the right thing I did. So.
Nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, that brings that idea of delayed gratification. Sometimes in the moment doing that right thing didn't feel so nice. But over time, when we reflect on it, or after that decision has fructified, we realize, okay, that was the really good choice. I'm glad I did that. Glad I went through that challenge. Now I'm reaping the benefits of that. Yeah. Thank you all for that. I feel like we all have gotten a lot closer, and I have realized that I need to rethink how much we do in that section, because I think our ice is not only broken, but it has melted. I guess I should also answer the question. My name is Manohar. I am from Sacramento, California. And how do I feel when I give? I feel love. I feel love. And as I'm kind of growing and I'm realizing that all my endeavors are actually an attempt either crying out for or an attempt to offer that love, then it reminds me of how important it is to intentionally give, especially specific people or groups of people, or to myself even. So that's kind of how I feel when I give. So I hope I do it more often. So now that we can actually enter into the topic, what is the problem that we see in society? Because we all mentioned such beautiful things about giving. So one might ask, why don't we just give all the time? Why don't we just fully give of ourselves? One of the problems that we find is that we're kind of raised in an atmosphere that so much propagates the idea of take, not give. Take, not give, right? And I remember this even like growing up, every year of Christmas, I'm like, we're kind of indoctrinated with this idea of like, write the list of everything you want. I remember one year I was like, all right, like I got my pencil, my paper, I'm doing this side, this thing, anything I could think of. I'm gonna watch all the advertisements and I'm gonna add that to the list, and then I'm gonna flip the paper over and I'm gonna add another list of things, Did not cross the mind as this like 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-old that why don't I make a list of things I can give? Why don't I make a list of things that, I'm following the example of Santa Claus. I did not think I was going to say that tonight. Oh my God. Okay. Following the example of Santa Claus by giving. By giving. I was so much indoctrinated by this idea of take, so many of these things, right? And we get too much immersed in that, we generally feel a bit isolated, right? We see when we grow up, that idea expands, that I should accumulate a higher bank account or higher social prestige or greater amounts of achievement. And what are we all trying to get from taking so much? Ironically, a lot of the things that you said that you feel from giving is what we're expecting to get from taking, right? We're expecting to feel happiness, we're expecting to feel joy, we're expecting to feel satisfaction. And yet, contradictorily, we see those who have so much, who have taken so much, are the ones who feel so empty. So many times they have all the money, they have all the private islands and private jets and everything like this, and still they are feeling so unsatisfied. This causes an internal anxiety. Bhagavad Gita speaks about when our mentality is solely on the mood of taking, it creates a network of desires, of things that we want to get. While we're receiving something, we're thinking about getting this and this and this and this, which brings us so far out of the present moment that even when we get that thing we worked for, we're not even present to receive it. I remember being in London a while ago, and they're watching the TV screen while eating and not even noticing at all of anything that they're eating, right? If you think oh, I'm supposed to enjoy this nice flavorful meal, our consciousness has to be present to it. But when our mind is so much agitated by trying to take so many things, we can't even enjoy anything, right? So this is one of the problems that come up when we're overstimulated. I mean, I'll tell you, coming out of North Carolina, I was texting my friend, I was like, too quick of a change going from open fields, mountains, stars in the sky. I have not seen stars in years. It was beautiful, beautiful. And then I'm flipping from that environment, open forest environment with creeks flowing, so beautiful. And then I just walk out of the subway and I'm like, I am in a city of a forest of buildings now. Such a change of pace. Such a change of pace like this. Stretching?
I have a comment
Yes.
about what you just said, or to corroborate what you just said. I think what you said about not enjoying the meal is probably much worse now than it has been before. If I go to, say, I'm in college, so if I go to a dining hall, there's not one person. It's really rare to see someone eat. It's always they're on their phone or have headphones or on a laptop. It's extremely rare that I see that, and if I do see that, I'm like, wow, I respect that person.
That's literally why in spiritual traditions, they actually have this intention, this intentional practice of when we receive the food, it's we're almost entering into a type of meditation. Meditation just meaning focusing our consciousness, becoming aware of the journey that all of the items before me has gone on. To have from the beginning of the universe, all of the elements coming together to be on this planet, to have grown through the earth, to be shipped before us, to be cooked with love, and to arrive right before us to nourish our mind, body, and spirit. like this, that becomes the most entertaining meal of all time, just by being present with it in that moment. So much is nourished in our spirit, and of course, good timing, because now they're starting to bring that in also. So, like this, to mention the difference between North Carolina and New York, which there are many, one of which is I was realizing the difference of stimulations. You know, I'm walking through the forest path, super serene, super nice. You can see how the earth is giving to you and you're giving back to the earth. It's this natural reciprocation. And when I'm walking through New York, it's like, okay, advertisement, 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 homeless guy, advertisement, advertisement. Sorry, I did not expect to say that. No, that's okay, right? But it's just the difference in environments, right? Where everything is so surcharged to agitate the mind in such a way where we think that there's something lacking within us, and we try to fulfill it through things outside of us, right? I mean, if I had to prove it, just walk down the street and see how many things you see calling for our attention, saying, buy this, buy this, buy this. And so like this, we've become habituated to this mentality of take, not give. Now, if we do some introspection as to what the cause for this mentality is at root, because yes, there's so many adjutants, I don't know if that's a word, adjutants around that can kind of try to invoke that desire, but what is at the base? What's the root? Symptoms manifest, but it's actually the root of the disease that needs to be cured, right? So what's at the root is fundamental misconception of what brings the self happiness. What brings the self joy? What actually makes us satisfied and satiated? Now, in Sanskrit, this is called the ahankar, or the sense of self. And when we think that all of these things are here to bring us fulfillment, then if that's like the base of the equation, then everything we do after that is going to produce the wrong results, right? If you start with the equation wrong, then everything you try to add into it will give you the wrong results. And this is why we see that if we have that misconception at base, that if I accumulate so many things, I'll become happy, we see what happens. So many people with everything they could have possibly imagined, you know, all the fame in the world, all the skill in the world, all the popularity, all the wealth, all of everything you could think of materially. And still they're feeling this lacking within, due to a base misconception of what will bring them fulfillment, right? And when that idea, when that misconception perpetuates, then we share that, you know, generation after generation. That, oh, you're not going to be happy unless, you know, we may have had that you know, story to tell as we're growing up that just graduate high school and then you'll be happy. Okay, no, now graduate college and then you'll be happy. Okay, now get the perfect job and then you'll be happy. And there's always the and then, and then, and then, and then, and then. And then we get the end of life and it was like, still waiting. It'll come just any minute now, right? So this is that base misconception. So this is that cause of this take, not give mentality and how it perpetuates our dissatisfaction. Now let's look to the solution. If a fish is out of water, it's on land, will $1 million make it happy? I haven't seen it happen. If you go, Mr. Fish, here's a Bugatti. Be happy. You'd be like, oh, this is really good. I'll look really good on this. I'll take a selfie, put it on Instagram. Still, it's like, I don't know. I'm still a little unsatisfied. I don't know why. Everything that we try to give, you know, position, family, different thing, different arrangement, whatever it is, there's still something inside, no matter, even if it gives some external, temporary, fleeting pleasure or sense of happiness. When it flees, then he's left with, why don't I feel fully satisfied? Why don't I feel that nourishment? And when we realize, when the fish comes to realize, oh, I'm a fish, and fish need water, and I'm not in a place where there's any water, that's a problem. Let me fix that. Then all of the energy, all of our consciousness, all our concentration is fixed on the thing that needs to be corrected. And so when someone goes, okay, so you don't want the $1 million or the house or the Bugatti, what you need is to be put back in the water. And as soon as the fish is put back on the water, and even if you just pour the water on the fish, create a little rivulet back to the ocean, then the fish is feeling satisfied. It's feeling nourished because it's in its natural environment. It's in its natural position, right? So if we've seen, it's so interesting to actually try some of these analogies, like the square peg in a round hole type thing. If you actually try that, it is a challenge, like trying to force it, It's just not its nature. But when you put the square peg in the square hole, wow, works wonders. Try it, I dare you. So when we similarly come to find out who we are, what the nature of the self is, and then we engage in that way, naturally we feel a sense of satisfaction, a piece of wholeness, a sense of love, a sense of completion, right? Of joy. These are the natural qualities of the self, of the soul. Soul talk. So when we get to learn about the nature of the self, the nature of the soul, and then we intentionally act in that way, like you mentioned, when we're all alone and we're in that environment, it can drive us in a different direction. We find that's the potency of association. If you want to become, I don't know why you would want to, but if you want to become an alcoholic, all you got to do is hang out with those who drink a lot. You will adopt that quality. If you want to become a great writer, then you hang out with those who are great writers and you adopt that quality. If you want to realize who you are, to engage in that nature and to unlock and achieve and to be fully situated within that eternal quality of the loving soul, you hang out with those who are also on that path. And thus, we re-engage with the real self. Re-engage with the real you, right? There's one story about an eagle who believed he was a chicken. Yeah, that's a good one. So from birth, he was around chickens. So he started behaving like a chicken. And I thought this was just a story, but we recently went to Gitanagari in Pennsylvania, and there's a goat there who hangs out with the cows, and it is adorable. Like, its physical body started to change and become more plump. And they were like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong with this goat? They took it to the animal hospital, and they were like, no, he's okay. He just believes he's a cow.
Yeah, some cats can bark. Some cats do bark like dogs.
Like this. Because of that association, literally the conditioning of the mind, they start to believe that they are that. And even in the physical level, they start to exemplify that, to try to be like that. So similarly, this eagle, true story apparently, was associating with the chickens and would act like the chickens, behave like the chickens, and thought fully that it was. It was only until the eagle started to see another eagle flying in the sky and started thinking like, whoa, like none of these chickens are flying. Like, I wonder if I could fly. And he started trying, hanging out with the eagles more often. Before he knew it, that eagle reawakened its natural ability of flight. Similarly, we are living entities. We've heard that saying that we are spiritual beings having a material experience, right? Not material beings having a spiritual experience. No, we actually are those spiritual beings. But we're living in a material world, and because we've associated with it for so long, we're acting so far out of our nature. And that dissatisfaction that we feel, that anxiety that we feel, that emptiness we feel is an indication. It is like the brain is doing its job of telling us. You know, when we get a pinch, the brain is doing its job of saying there's something going on there. It's a notification. So anxiety and stuff, we see it like as it can be a very negative thing, but it is really a sign. Hey, there's something going on. There's something about this. So ultimately, these symptoms of unfulfillment are the notifications saying there is something more to who you are. And when we find out what that is, when we get to know more about the eternal self and engage in that nature, there's also the opposite. When we feel happy, when we feel all these things that we mentioned, from giving, we feel compassion, when we feel love, when we feel fulfillment, we feel whole. These are the notifications. Yes, we are acting more close to our true and eternal selves. This is the journey that we are all on. Right? Yes?
So I'm just assuming the real you is like a very unique self, right?
Mm.
And all the examples you talk about different groups, doesn't it seem a little contradictory to be around other people to figure out yourself?
Good question. Yes and no. So, let's see if I can come up with an example. Yeah, I'll answer it straight. In order to know something that we don't know, it is important to have someone who does know, right? But for us to realize it, that's where that personal time to really reflect, digest, and realize it comes in. So it's both. You know, we have to have the time with those specifically who are cultivating that knowledge. Like if I tried to learn football skills from a doctor, I'm probably not going to get the right information, right? So we want to learn the right spiritual information from those who have it, right? But we can't just rely on them entirely. We have to exercise ourselves on our end, which requires that personal time, that personal reflection space. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah. Good? More?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So, re-engaging with the real you. Now, on a practical level, when we're talking about giving specifically, when we give, we do feel these nice things on a practical level. But when it remains in a material platform, material just meaning temporary or relative, it has some kind of capacity, then there's only so much that we can give, you know. I may want to give you $1,000, but if I only have $999 in the bank account, then there is a limit to how much I can give. There's a limit there. And like we mentioned earlier, like when we're giving of ourselves, of our time, or of our energy, we recognize that on a physical level, there's only so much that we can give. And we might have to set boundaries. Because if we give so much that we're depleted, then we can't carry on. And I imagine as a parent, that's so crucial to have that balance. Because if I give everything I have in the first week, it's like, well, that child needs a whole lifetime of care. So I have to act in a way that's balanced. I have to act in a way where I can give the most amount of good for the longest amount of time, right? Now, when we get to transcendence, then the equation starts to change a little bit. The equation becomes a little different because now we're not working with a limited resource. So this is the theory here. When it comes to time, only so much I can give. Energy, only so much I can give, you know. So much limitation. But when we enter the spiritual realm, it means that it is literally the opposite of temporary, opposite of relative, opposite of material, spirit. In Sanskrit, that is referred to as sat, or eternal. Now, even modern science is kind of stumbling onto this. There's this idea that energy cannot be created and cannot be destroyed. Now, if you really break that down, what that means, if something cannot be created, that means there's no time in which, there was no beginning point. And if it can't be destroyed, That means there's no time in which it will cease to exist. And so if something has no beginning and has no end, another word for that is eternal. So that means there is an eternal resource. And now if we're looking, oh yeah, okay, this is nice. If we're looking at even ourselves, let's forget even like the whole universe. We look at seeing like everything has a source point. You know, this comes from this factory, comes from this place, comes from that place. And we even go to the whole world and the whole universe and has a source point. If we even look at ourselves, right, and that we have consciousness, then it would make sense logically and scientifically that a quality that we have would also be present in the source of ourselves. Now, what did we just describe? An eternal, conscious source. Okay? That eternal conscious source may have so many different names. Here we refer to that eternal conscious source as Krishna, which just means all attractive. And they're all attractive because they are aham sarvasya prabhavo. They are the source of everything, both material and spiritual, everything eternal and temporary, right? And so when we see ourselves as that spiritual being, that consciousness, that energy which is eternal in a material temporary situation, and we are as conscious living entities reciprocating with the source of everything, that becomes a compatible equation for eternal loving exchanges. Right? If we're on the phone, it's like, okay, how long can we be on the phone until like the phone dies, or like I have to go, or I have to go to the bathroom, or something comes up. But when we're talking about the soul level, that connection point can go on perpetually. So that joy that we feel when we give to someone in this world can be multiplied by an eternal equation. We can always be engaged in that reciprocation with that eternal source. And when we are in that circumstance, that feeling of happiness and joy is also multiplied by that eternal factor. And thus, the hypothesis of bhakti is that when we as eternal souls engage in a reciprocal loving relationship with our conscious source, that we enter into an unlimitedly loving, blissful relationship and exchange. And that happiness, that fulfillment is the greatest thing that we can give to ourselves, to our source, and unto all others, which makes it the most valuable thing to do. All right. So to close, and then we'll come to a question. So our takeaway from all of this, there is a poem that is inspired by the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 12. By working in harmony with nature. So, we kind of just dropped this kind of like God-like hypothesis of an eternal conscious source. But if we want to just call it nature, it also works, right? Nature is given so much. So by working in harmony with nature, all resources are provided. Is any of us come into this world and we had to okay, let me build, soil and make it, come up with plants and vegetation and build the universe and the time scale? No, we all came into it already set up. So nature has already provided all these resources. And by working in harmony with it, by farming and working according to its nature, all resources are provided. One who receives these resources and then extends a reciprocal offering out of appreciation is to be known as deeply grateful. Kshetragya, in Sanskrit, this is the word for gratitude, and it literally means to know what has been done. So when we hear how our parents may have stayed up so many nights taking care of us and gone through so many trials just for our upbringing, when we know about that, a natural sense of appreciation and gratitude springs from our hearts. And when that wells up and intensifies, we want to reciprocate. It becomes an action. It becomes a desire of, I need to give back to this person who's given me so much. Right? And so that times an eternal conscious source who has given us everything in this world, when we become conscious of that, life becomes beautiful. And we become inspired. It's no one telling us you have to or else. It is just inspired, that seeing there's a conscious living entity with, no matter how big and expansive this universe is, they care so much for me. They know my name. And they care about me unlimitedly. Let me engage in reciprocating with that eternal source. So gratefulness, gratitude, and giving, these are extremely powerful tools in all of our relative and especially our spiritual lives. It'll bring us the greatest joy and the greatest satisfaction. And one of the ways that we can do this is, because sometimes we may not have this to give or have that to give, but wherever we go, we can carry the names of that divine. So Hare, referring to the divine feminine. Rama, the reservoir of pleasure. Krishna, all attractive. These are different names of that conscious source. And just by our giving our time, our attention, our intention of affection. A lot of shins over there. Our intention, attention, our affection. We can feel that relationship constantly going on within our heart, any circumstance we're in. Whether we're just waking up, or we're at work, or going for a walk, we can carry that in our heart, engage in that reciprocation. So this is one of the ways we can do that. Said to be one of the most powerful. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam. Strongest, most powerful way in this age to call upon the names of that source with the intention of affection. Okay, so I think I've spoken to you guys quite long enough, so thank you very much for that session. I hope it was something relevant and something nourishing that you can come away with, no matter what it is, even if it's that giving makes us feel nice. So you had a question? I kind of took us way over time today, but maybe we can take one or two.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you can unpack the seeming contradiction of focusing on our internal lives and putting a lot of attention to that. Externally, others, and especially those close to us, may consider that a selfish act. But you also mentioned that this benefits, this is at least the start of benefiting them, ourselves, of course.
Yes. Much of it can be kind of subjective, very personal, because what someone may need to take more time for themselves might be less than another person. But I'll bank on this idea of intention, because if the difference between self-care and selfish arguably could be that I'm taking care of myself exclusively and only for myself. I don't care about anybody else's happiness but mine, right? So that can dip into a little bit selfishness or narcissism or things like this. That's a bigger topic. We could have another soul talk on that. Thank you for the idea. But when our intention is so I'm working on myself so that I can show up more readily to people, then that is more towards the selflessness. Usually it's good to practice both simultaneously. I'm filling myself up and giving, and so we're practicing that kind of back and forth. But to really belabor the point with an example, when I was doing lifeguard training in high school, certified lifeguard, by the way, so we don't have any pools here, but I don't know what to do with that. Spiritual lifeguard, yeah. No, I like it. No, I literally made a t-shirt that said spiritual lifeguard, so I'm into it. I'm just trying to think of my qualification. In the training, they literally tell us that if you jump in and that person who you are trying to save is in such a panic that they grab onto you in such a way that you start to drown It is your duty, it is your responsibility to push them off, to push them away, to take space, to save yourself. It's like one of those principles that are really hard for me to like grasp, but in practical application, it is how it goes. And logically, it also pans out very nicely. Because if you go down with them, they're no longer responsible for only their life being lost. Now it's two. And so we're kind of adding our life onto their debt in that way, right? Because now we've also perished in trying to save them. Noble for sure. But we don't want to put that on their weights, you know. I'd feel bad enough if I like got myself into trouble, but then I brought someone else down along with me. So they say it is your responsibility to push yourself away to save yourself, but this is where the intention comes in. You recollect yourself, you make sure you're stable, and as soon as they hit the ground, sunk to the bottom of the pool, no longer respondent, immediately you jump in. Immediately you go in and save them, pick them up, resuscitate them, and bring them back to life like this, right? So it's always our intention never shifts of wanting to give and wanting to love and wanting to help others, but in such a way that will actually help them, right? Because if we get drowned, then we're not helping them anymore. But we always maintain that. We always keep the door open. And in practical experience, especially in relationships, it can be a challenge because sometimes we may get hurt. Someone might say something that might hurt us. But then if we're still keeping that door open, we're simultaneously, sometimes love means loving from a distance. So we're taking that space, you know, gathering, healing, going through that process. And it is a process, that process of forgiveness. And then when we're genuinely at that space, then we can extend again that love and try to help them to the degree that they're open to receive it. Yeah. So hopefully that gives some ideas. Okay.
Great analogy.
Thank you. Yeah. I liked it. I looked at my lifeguard coach. It's like, I'm gonna use that in a class one day. I didn't say that. Yeah.
I got an interesting point about the intention behind giving. So it's thinking about, say, the intention that you have to give versus listening to the other person as to like what they want. So it's like, on one hand you give, but the execution is not always right.
Yes.
Like what exactly do you do in terms of, do you pay attention to the other person? Or do you like listen to yourself and figure out this is what you want to give? I mean, love languages are very popular. People talk about how you give in one language and people don't understand it and they receive it in another.
I love that. I love everything about that. My love language, by the way, is quality time. So like, yeah. It's very important, yeah, because sometimes we might feel unintentionally that we're giving with a motivation. You know, it's like, oh, I got you this nice watch because I like it, right? But really that person likes something else. Maybe they like receiving love in a different language, you know. Maybe they wanted your quality time, but you got them a different gift. A lot of the thing is an intention, but with sincerity comes a deeper, higher quality endeavor, right? Because if it's just like, oh man, your birthday's next week, I gotta get you something. Okay, pick this up at the store, here you go. You know, it's just nice, better than nothing, right? But then what's even higher quality than that? It's like, okay, let me like ask them certain questions. Like, oh, do you like this kind of thing? Like, what do you kind of like around this? You know, asking it in such a way where they don't kind of like catch on. You're trying to get them a gift or something. You're like, okay, I know you kind of like this thing. And then you really kind of, you know, put that together. That energy that goes into that offering, we see it reciprocally to how genuinely excited they are to receive it, right? So sometimes, you know, and people are really gracious, you know, when they get them something. It's like, oh, thank you, appreciate it. Oh, I got socks for Christmas. Like, thank you, I appreciate it, this is nice. But then when you really like read their heart, you know, that's why we see like in those, in the movies, TV shows, and in practical life, when someone gets that gift, it's like, how did you know? Like, how did you know I loved this particular thing so nicely, you know, or so specifically? You know, it really moves our heart. Like they went out of their way to get it because that's how much they care for us. You know? that's why these options of giving and gifts are such great opportunities for all the things we mentioned, of developing community, of connecting, of showing love and affection, all of these things. Wow, I really got to step up my game now. I got to really get like, what do you like, Damodar? I want to get you a gift. Oh, I already messed up. I told you I was going to get you a gift. So like this. Like this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 7:08, maybe, unless we have any last question.
I was trying to think of something that I couldn't look up on the internet. Let me really brainstorm. I'm sure. I mean, we could talk more for jam session stuff. So I will definitely poke your brain later. I was confused because I don't know if you know Hare Krishna. Sorry, some negative energy. Monk. I did that thing where it's like you put monk Rhine. I think I took the R in Rhine and put it in monk. I don't know why.
It's okay.
But Monk Rhine, I don't know if you know him. He usually is a resident at the Brooklyn Temple, but right now he's actually, I think, either upstate or in Pennsylvania. Wow. And I'm looking at his updates. So he posted a passage about Lord Vishnu being the supreme personality of Godhead, but I thought that was Hare Krishna. I'm confused. Like, is there like an official hierarchy in Hinduism, like the different deities? Like, where's Lord Shiva come in and all that stuff? Or is that just more like a subjective thing amongst different Hindus?
Krishna is not Avatar Vishnu.
Good questions, good comments, different topic, but.
You want something related to the lecture?
But I'll speak one thing on that before we close. So bhakti means love. Yoga means connection. Even the word religion or religio in Latin, it means to yoke, to bind back. And yoga means to connect with. So we can connect with people through so many different things. I can get to know someone by working with them. I can get to someone by just having knowledge about them. But what are the relationships in our life that we feel the most connected to, the most attached to? It's those who we are linked up with in affection, those who we love. There's this thing like when pilots are crashing, there's like a recorder in there. And so they hear what they're saying as they're about to leave their lives. And so many of them, the last thing that they're saying that they're crying out for their mother. You know, they have so much knowledge about this person or that person, or they worked for this person for so many years. But when it comes to who we're going to call out for, we're going to call out for mama. Why? Because that's the person we felt so much nourishment, so much care, so much affection for. And so Bhakti Yoga, connecting through affection, we are connecting with our source. And that source has so many different names. I never said this before, but man, my goodness, it's almost irrelevant which of the names they are. That source from which we come, let's connect with that. Let's get to know who that is. And when we know who that is, we get to know more fully who we are. And so when we connect with affection like that, we feel the most enlivened. We feel the happiest. We feel the most nourished and protected. And so when we develop that relationship, antakalanchamam eva, smaramutva kalevram, that loving source, that mother of all, the mother of the universe, that will be whom we call out for. And we find our eternal refuge within. Thank you very much. That's it. Thanks a lot. So that will be our session today. Thank you for coming to Soul Talks. We're here. Thank you. Thank you. This is a group project here. Thank you all for your presence and your participation. It was such a nice energy. I love doing this. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to facilitate this space.